Okay, well, let's go ahead and get started. Awesome to see where you all are joining from. Really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy day to hear about our NetApp IT use case on Amazon FXN for NetApp ONTAP. So happy to have Siva Shankaran joining us today. He joins us from NetApp IT, where he uses FSXN in his daily workload tasks. He is an information systems engineer working on cloud strategy and services. And yeah, we're really curious to hear about what he's working on, the benefits he's seen from FSXN, some of the other considerations that maybe you have to think about whether it's the right fit for you. And we're super grateful he's taken the time out of his day to share this with us. So, Siva, you want to go ahead and talk about anything else related to what you do, and then go ahead and jump into it.
Thank you, Darcy. Hey guys, welcome to NetApp on NetApp session. So myself, Siva Shankaran. I'm currently working as an information system engineer in NetApp IT. I used to handle all this cloud migration stuff. So we used to migrate the on-prem workloads from on-prem to cloud, the AWS and OCA cloud. So these are all the major tasks I'm involved. And after migration, so whatever workloads which are in AWS cloud, we used to manage that. Yep. So let's just get into our agenda. And today I'm going to discuss about the use case of our AWS NetApp ONTAP, FSx ONTAP. So this is the agenda which I'm going to cover today. Yeah. I'll start with the usage and why we are using FSXN and what is the key benefits and what are the cost analysis and our observation and our consideration which needs to be taken care. Yeah, before we get in, I would like to show the cloud storage journey where we have started. For example, like we have our cloud journey started with NPS, which is NetApp Private Storage in the year of 2019, which was sitting on in NetApp colo-location, which is like near cloud storage. Later on, we moved to CVO, which is Cloud Volume ONTAP in the year of 2021. It's a software-based solution. So the reason we moved from NPS to CVO is NPS uses a hardware filer, which is sitting in NetApp colo-location. We need to maintain the networks and 3 years hardware refresh cycle and CapEx outlay. There was a huge spend on this. So that was the reason we moved from NPS to CVO. As CVO is a software-based solution, we can deploy our ONTAP cluster directly on the cloud, and we can leverage the cloud native storage for data disks. Also, in the year of 2022, AWS FSx ONTAP is released, and we are the storage vendor provides AWS first-party cloud services. Yep, let's talk about the FSx ONTAP. FSx ONTAP, it is fully managed by AWS, and it offers high availability and high durability with single AZ and multi-AZ deployment options. With the single node cluster, you can provision a file system in one availability zone, which will be suitable for subprod workloads. But in our NetApp IT, we use multi-AZ file system, which is 2 nodes will be provisioned. Each node will be in different availability zone, and data will be synced automatically, which is suitable for our production workloads with high availability. We have 2 SVM, which is storage virtual machines provision. It's an isolated file server with its own administrative and data access endpoints. We are using lab SVM for testing environment and the production SVM for our real application volumes, where all our test, development, stage, and production environment volumes, workloads will be hosted. And if it comes to the EC2, the VM spot, we are attaching EBS as a root volume. It is a AWS native storage because we cannot leverage our FSXN for root volumes. By default, we provide 100 GB root volume across the board. So whatever VMs which we are provisioning, we are giving 100 GB of root volume to the VMs. And if it comes to the application storage, we can provision our volumes via FSXN and mount it to the servers. For Linux VMs, we can mount both NFS and iSCSI file systems. For Windows, only iSCSI drives will be provisioned and it will be mounted on the servers. We can save all of our structured and unstructured data in our FSXN volume. Now we will be able to access our FSXN file system even from our on-prem environment by using our AWS Transit Network. This option can be availed while provisioning the FSX ONTAP file system. We have this option to choose how to leverage like FSX and storage from on-prem networks. So it's a simplest option for access from any other AWS services and from on-prem networks. On top of this, we are leveraging local backup snapshot policies. By using our ONTAP snapshot policies, we'll be able to capture some snapshots on a daily, hourly, and weekly basis. So this policy will be assigned to all the volumes, whatever we are provisioning. We are also leveraging AWS backup service for disaster recovery. If in case of any disaster recovery happened on one region, we will be able to recover our volumes in the next available region, and we can mount it to the servers and we can start leveraging the data. We will be able to manage our FSX file system via our NetApp BlueXP, and we can monitor the volume level performance metrics via NetApp Cloud Insight. That is our NetApp tool. Okay.
Hey Steve, a quick question before we keep going. So, on that arrow, we have that journey from CVO to FSXN. One question we get is, what differentiates the two? Are we still using workloads on CVO? Kind of what that looks like, because a lot of people do use CVO.
Yeah, we do use CVO. For example, like Azure, for Azure Cloud, we are still using CVO. The only difference is like for CVO, as I told, we need to build our ONTAP cluster on our own.
Right.
And then, if it comes to FSX, it is fully managed with AWS. It is fully managed by AWS.
Yeah, so those
this ONTAP upgrades and all which needs to be taken care. Like for CVO, we need to take care. But if it comes to AWS, they'll be taking care for us.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thanks for clarifying that.
Why we use FSXN? It's a best breed. It's a best of breed product. We have a best product in the market with superior features and technologies available. We can code once to work across the hybrid cloud. So if we code once, we'll be able to use our file system across our hybrid cloud. So we can also leverage our existing operational process and integrations like ServiceNow and all. If it comes to native, we'll be able to provision the file system across any region without any preparation work. All we need to do is we need to choose the region according to our need, and we can start provisioning the file system. And we have better integration with our native services like ECS, Amazon, like AWS ECS, EKS, and our VMware Cloud as well. We have superior programmatic access available to manage our FSX file system like AWS CLI, ONTAP CLI, Ansible, Terraform, and etc. If it comes to cost, overall expenses are reduced over a period of time when compared to previous or alternative options like NPS. AWS will charge back for FSX file system and other AWS services we are using. Let us talk about this rainbow chart. For example, here we have provisioned the FSX file system. It is cost-effective storage, it is high available and secure, fast and flexible performance, and it is fully managed by the AWS. So we can leverage our FSX ONTAP volumes via our container workloads and compute workloads and virtual desktop workloads as well. If it comes to containerization, we can use our own product called Spot version by NetApp. And if it comes to infrastructure as a code, we can leverage by using AWS CloudFormation and Terraform and Ansible, etc. And if it comes to the monitoring, so we can also monitor our FSXN by using our Amazon CloudWatch agent, CloudWatch, and NetApp Cloud Insight, and by using Splunk as well. If it comes to governance and compliance, we can use NetApp Cloud Data Sense, AWS Cloud Trial. And if it comes to data protection and security, we use AWS Key Management Service, which is KMS, and AWS Directory Service and NetApp Snap Centers. If it comes to migration, we can use our AWS Data Sync, AWS Snowball, NetApp Cloud Sync, and AWS Migration Service as well. And multi-cloud control, we'll be able to control our FSXN by using our NetApp Cloud Manager. Now it is called as BlueXP. If it comes to the edge computing, we can use our NetApp Global File Cache. Let us talk about the key benefits of using our FSX ONTAP. So we can deploy our ONTAP cluster in just multiple clicks instead of spending weeks of time. So in just multiple clicks, our FSX file system will be ready. By using AWS FSX, we got increased visibility to our storage metrics. We'll be able to monitor and storage related actions by using our AWS FSX console. We'll be able to monitor the entire file system and entire volume details. With the help of SSD, we get high performance to our volumes. We can say it is combination of NVMe and IO2 block express devices. Our FSX and ONTAP offers high throughput and low latency to our workloads. Like SSD file system and throughput, if you are provisioning a file system, SSD capacity will be provisioned, and throughput IOPS can be easily provisioned, and it can be scalable according to the storage need without any intervention. For example, if you have provisioned a 1 terabyte of file system, and if you want to increase, you can go out and you can increase it via FSX file system without any intervention. And with the by the combination of thin provisioning and deduplication, we can optimize the resource allocation and we can reduce the unnecessary expenses. Also, FSX allows supports multi-protocol. For example, one volume can be created as NFS and as well as SMB6 protocol. This can be accessed from Linux machine as well as from the Windows machine as well. We can also, on top of it, we can also integrate our AD, Active Directory, to our FSX file system to manage the user level access. And DREC, like if in case of any disaster recovery, we will be able to bring up our application in the next available region by using our AWS backup service and our SnapMirror feature. FSX also have these data protection strategies like SnapMirror, Snap Center, SnapWall, SnapLock, and anti-ransomware. And sorry, by using our SnapMirror feature, we'll be able to migrate our data quickly. SnapMirror data transfer is much faster, and we'll be able to save all users and file level permission as it is. All we need to do is just mount the volume on the server, and we can start utilizing the data. And we will be able to access our FSX file system across the hybrid cloud. And with the help of FSX ONTAP, we don't need to worry about firmware and self upgrades and all. We can say goodbye to them. Let us talk about the cost analysis. If you are provisioning a file system, so these are all the areas you will be get charged. So for single AZ and multi AZ, it will be charged according to the region which we are choosing. If it is single AZ, you will be charged with only one available zone charge. If you are going with multi AZ, it will be double the charge. And you will be charged with this SSD capacity. It is a primary storage which gives high performance, we can start from 1 terabyte and we can scale up to 1 petabyte. And you will be charged with network throughput. We can start with 128 Mbps throughput and we can go up to 4 Gbps throughput. So this will be charged according to the throughput which we choose. And PIOPS, the provision IOPS, like by default, 3 IOPS will be 3 IOPS per GB will be provisioned. If according to the user requirement, this will also be we will be able to adjust. And we are also leveraging capacity pool storage S3. So wherever for all of our data for all of our file system and volumes, we have applied this data tiering, which will take care of capacity. For example, the cold data, whatever data which was not being used, it will be moved automatically to the S3. So for S3 will be like storage cost will be charged and read rates will be charged. And according to the backups, it is optional. But in our NetApp IT, we are using AWS backup service, and we can use our FSX ONTAP calculator for cost estimation. Okay, I just wanted to compare FSX and cost advantages with EBS and EFS. With the help of thin provisioning, dedupe, and compression, we will be able to save more space. And by default, data tiering will be applied to all the volumes, whatever we are provisioning. All cold data, the cold data which was not being used for some days, it will be automatically moved to S3, which is our capacity pool storage. And SSD performance is not shared to the, it is shared to the entire file system, but it is not shared to the specific volumes. If we take EBS, like it is specific to the volumes. But if it comes to FSX, the SSD performance is it is shared across the file system, the entire file system. So whatever you pay, we can leverage it. So flex clone volumes are space efficient uh, because they share the same data blocks with their parent volumes for common data, which makes the efficient use of spaces. Okay, so our observation of using our FSX ONTAP at NetApp IT for more than 2 years. So these are all our observation. It's cheap, fast, and disposable. Like we can always start with 1 TB, and by using our thin provisioning, dedupe, and compression, it is going to be the cheap and fast. By using our SSD performance, our FSX file system, it gives a fast and high performance and disposable. For example, if the file system it is not being used, we can easily disposable via AWS FSX console. And we don't need to spend like 3 years refresh cycle, and no large capex outlay will be applied. And we don't need to worry about our ONTAP upgrades, but AWS will do it for us. We will be able to scale up the file system without any downtime and no need of any additional hardwares. It gives greater visibility to the storage, as it's a first party AWS service. We'll be able to manage our storage volumes via AWS FSX console. We are moving into the IaaC, infrastructure as a code and DevOps. So instead of following the traditional silos model like storage, Linux network, so cloud team can manage the entire infrastructure like storage, like end-to-end storage. Like cloud team will be taking care of managing the entire infrastructure. We have high degree of automation feature available. We can leverage those AWS CloudFormation, Ansible, Terraform, etc. And migration into the public cloud is much easier. Now we do migrations in chunks instead of doing large scale migrations. So in our NetApp IT, we have provisioned FSX file system across the region. Like we are following like 4 regions, and in the 4 region we have provisioned the file systems, FSX file system. And this is one of the file system I just wanted to compare. We have provisioned this file system on US East region, which is North Virginia, and we have provisioned only 14.5 terabyte of SSD storage capacity, out of which we as of now only 7 terabyte data being used, and it is sitting in SSD, which is hot data. And we could see like 11.4 terabyte of data, which is standard capacity. It is moved to standard capacity pool storage, which is S3. So data, it is considered as cold data. So data which was not being used for more than 31 days, it will automatically move to S3 standard port capacity. So with the overall utilization, we could see only 50% of data being utilized, but still 50% of SSD capacity we can utilize for some other workloads. With the help of, we just provision only 14.5 terabyte of data, but we are almost leveraging like 20 terabyte of data. But plus we have 50% of data left over. So by using, with the help of thin provisioning, dedupe, and compression, we are able to save more space. Okay, so these are the consideration which needs to be taken care. We don't control the ONTAP release out, so release rollout. So only AWS will be taking care for us. And we have 2 control plans. Like if you want to manage your FSX file system, there are like 2 control plans. By using AWS native tool like AWS FSX console and AWS CLI, you will be able to manage, as well as via ONTAP CLI, via Blue XP also will be able to manage. So each and everything have some unique cases. So we need to choose which one according to our need. We need to choose. For example, if you are provisioning the volume via ONTAP CLI, like it will take some time to reflect in AWS. That because of some API call. So we need to choose which tool it is used for. Like whatever tool which we are using for, so we can just go out and we can use for it. As always, we need to worry about this data transfer charges, limit to inter-region traffic. And these are all some key takeaway points. If it comes to FSX file system, it is fully managed service. AWS, it is AWS itself. They'll be taking care of the entire AWS FSx file system. If it, it also, we also support this multi-protocol. So by single volume can be mounted as NFS and as well as SMB SIP SAP. By using, it gives high performance and scalability. We have SSD performance available. And by using this data durability and availability, like we can use our multi-AZ concept. By using this will be the high availability will be there. And data migration made easy by using our Snap Mirror feature. And cost optimization by applying our thin provisioning, dedupe, and compression, the cost will be optimized. And we can also integrate our Active Directory services to our FSx file system and pay as you go pricing. You are not paying for hourly basis, but you will be just paying for the entire 1 terabyte. For example, if you are provisioning 1 terabyte of file system, then you will be just charged for 1 terabyte of file system. You are not charged according to the hourly basis. Yeah, these are all some key takeaway points.
So we'll jump into the Q&A. We have a couple questions. We kind of touched on this a little bit, but CVO is a NetApp product and FSx is an Amazon product. So, why are we not using CVO? Just to clarify that point that we mentioned briefly before.
If it comes to CVO, as I told, we need to build our own ONTAP cluster. We need to leverage, for example, this if you take Azure, so we'll be provisioning our ONTAP. It is software-based solution, so we need VMs to be there, and we need to provision the VMs on the cloud itself, on the Azure cloud or AWS cloud itself. We need to build, and we need to build our own ONTAP cluster. So it will take some time for building. So it requires some load balancers, and it requires multiple VMs for high availability. So for that, we'll be charging for that virtual machines, and as well as for the data disk, whatever disk which we are adding. For example, the 1 terabyte which we are adding, if you want to add more disk to that our ONTAP cluster, so you'll be charged for the data disk plus the EC2 instance. But if it comes to FSx, so you don't manage any VMs. So you'll be just paying for only for the file system, which whatever we are provisioning.
Great, thank you for clarifying that. And we have a couple more questions coming in. Can FSxN make use of Amazon S3 lifecycle management after moving data from performance to S3, but then can it move from an S3 to Glacier there afterwards for full management?
Yeah, actually, whatever data which was moving to S3, so whenever the data being called, so yeah, from S3 it will serve the purpose in SSD, and it will sit there for serving the purpose. And by default, in the backend, like S3 and SSD capacity will be taken over.
And one other question we get a lot is, you mentioned this briefly, but could you expand on how does a user have network access from on-prem or outside the VPC to the FSxN system?
Yep. This one, right? Like while provisioning the file system, we have this option available. We can choose that means whether the file system whether it is multi-AZ or single AZ, we can choose, and we can choose our SSD capacity. And while it comes to the network and security part, there we have option to choose unallocated IP ranges from your VPC. So that is the simplest option. It will be available for will be use our FSx file system by our on-premises network by using our AWS Transit Gateway. So we have that option available. Like earlier, this option is not available. So we need to follow some different RFC 1918 method now, but now we have this option available, which will be easy for us.
Makes sense. Okay, we'll jump to the next slide, but feel free to put any more questions in the chat that we can hit. You want to jump to the next slide, Siva?
Yeah, sure.
Thanks. So, NetApp on NetApp runs these webinars, and we have a lot of resources that you can access whenever you want on demand. We have our website, netappit.com, where we share a lot of content about our use cases and good things to know about best practices for using NetApp products. We also have a YouTube channel that has a ton of content there. If you ever have specific questions, we can connect you with SMEs who have knowledge about this and how they're using it through netappit@netapp.com, or you can also reach out if you want to connect a customer with an SME, can do that. My manager, Matt Brown, you can follow him on LinkedIn for updates on the program and content. That's a great resource as well. So just some different ways to connect with us. Thank you so much, Siva, for presenting and sharing your experience firsthand on using FSXN. Hopefully it was super valuable to you guys. I know I learned a lot about what we're doing. It's great to understand these first person use cases of, how we're partnering with AWS, what benefits we've seen. Yeah, so thanks again. And thank you all for joining us. I know you all have busy schedules, busy lives, so we do appreciate you taking the time to join us to hear about these use cases.
Thank you, guys.